And we are live. Welcome to another podcast episode with me. I'm your host, Robin Hallsten. With me today, I have none other than Nico Becker, and I'm going to read a little bit from his website. He's a renowned and experienced holistic health coach, empowering individuals around the world to be more happy, healthy, and whole in body, mind, and spirit. He is dedicated to teach not only how to get through physical and mental health challenges, but helps you to ultimately find meaning and purpose in your life. Life should be a journey full of joy, passion, and fulfillment. Sounds nice.
Sounds sweet, huh?
Yeah, sounds really sweet. Welcome, Nico, to the show.
Hey, Robin.
Hey.
Thanks for having me here. Beautiful to hear you.
Yeah, it's I saw we've been friends on Facebook for like 2 years or something, and I think we connected through I guess it was through Elliot Hulse or Grounding Man, Grounding Camp, something like that. And I'm always so amazed of how much this guy Elliot has. I think I say that in most of my podcast episodes, like how much ripple effect he has on my life and the people that I connect to and follow on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I really feel the same way. I think he has created a whole community, really. And like you said, I found you, I think, over some kind of Elliot things. And there's a big community getting out of that worldwide, really, people connecting, spiritual development, personal growth, and all these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as he says, he's an Aries, just as I am. He's a trailblazer, making space for other people, and going first, and just like being kind of being brave and bold in a lot of ways, and challenging for sure. Um, but tell me about yourself, Nico. For those who don't know you, I've just given the intro, but I don't know actually where are you right now in the world as well, because you're like traveling the whole world, right?
Yeah. We're actually, me and my wife are actually in California at this moment. We stayed here for 2 months now. We have one more month to go, and for the last 2 years, really, we haven't had a home at all. We canceled our place in Germany and just said, okay, let's roll. We lived in a Volkswagen van for about 1 year and traveled through Europe with the van, mainly Spain, France, and lots of beautiful experience. We were in Bali, Australia, and really the last 2 years were an amazing experience of travel and just letting go of all that I did and all that I was a big birthing and a big death for me. Um, Many people who know me know this, that I was a fighter from 14 years on. When I was 14, I decided to become a fighter. Went into MMA, boxing, grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and all these things. And I put my whole heart into it. And right after school, I said, okay, I want to become professional. Fuck studying, fuck university, for whatever. I wanted something else. So I went to Switzerland, wanted to become professional, trained there, fight full time. And everything went really good, actually. But I had huge injuries. I had meniscus tear on my right knee, and I actually, when they opened up the knee, they saw that it was ripped about 8 times in 4 years. So really, a destroyed knee. I had the capsule was broken, the cartilage was broken down. They actually told me you can never fight again, never train again, never do anything again, and I couldn't walk for about a year, maybe about 1 mile, and I was finished with pain and I couldn't train at all, couldn't do anything. So this really brought me into deep depression of being a fighter, being a trainer, and having this as my whole life. Like, I am a fighter, I am this, I'm a boxing trainer, I'm all that. And I couldn't do it anymore. So I was in deep depression. And during that time, I knew Elliot Hulse before. As a fighter, it helped me a lot. And I knew Paul Chek. But in that time, I really dived into Paul Chek's work, and decided that I want to get back on my feet. I want to get healthy again. What can I do? Okay, the medical system says you can't do anything. You need a new knee joint, which would be fucked up with 20 years, because you can only do it 3 times, and it keeps for about 10 to 15 years. So you're quite fucked with 60 then, 60, 70. So I dived into that, and I did all the things, and How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy is Paul Chek's perfect book. And I ate bone broth, and I tried to figure out what can I do. I exercised in certain ways. And after about 8 months, 9 months, I started to notice that I could do anything again. I could
Mm.
deadlift again. I could do squats again. My knee was really getting better and better. So that about after 1 year, I could sprint again, and I could actually start fighting again. But
Mm.
in that time, I began fighting again. I realized, wow, I actually lost my passion for fighting, but I found a new passion, helping people to recover from shit that they are told they
Mm.
can't heal, helping people to break through all the impossibility walls and all the barriers in their life that keeps them away from living their dream.
Mm.
Um, and that was a big revelation. That is now about 3 years ago. And since then, I really dived into, of course, Paul Chek's work, many other people's work. Actually, Gabor Mate is awesome. um, Many books, lots of studying, really dived into, okay, how can I help people to maximize performance? How can I help people to break through all the depression problems, through all the psychological problems, and all that I went through. So it's really a big story to explain why I am who I am. But that's certainly one very important part of what I'm doing and where I'm now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I wanna dive deeper into that because like how old are you now, and when did you first battle with the injuries and the depression?
Mhm. I'm getting 25 next week,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about, the thing is, about 5 years ago, right, being a fighter, I was in the Caribbean, and I got appendicitis, so my appendix was exploding actually. Now I went to the hospital and they sent me home, said it's no problem, but then the appendix exploded, which is a big problem,
Mm-hmm.
of course. And I had, to make it short, not a big story, I had three surgeries, one of them in Germany. I had my own private jet that flew me back to Germany because I was dying there in the Caribbean. Um, I was very lucky and had a deep first experience with nearly dying, having my whole digestive tract wrecked for about 2-3 years, fungal and parasite infections. So there's really where, that's about 5.5 years ago, where the
Mm.
depression started. The whole thing of getting problems because
Mm.
my digestion, my health went so hard down that after that, when I kept on fighting and training, I really went into a burnout. So from there on, it started, and I had small nagging injuries more and more. And about 3.5 years, maybe 4 years ago, I really got hit hard with the knee injury. I had three more surgeries, two on my knee, one on my hand. I broke my hand in a fight, and lots of trouble really. And the big depression, I would say, the big hole where I just was lying around at home and really maybe reading books, but not doing anything really valuable in a sense. Um, which was really a tough time for my girlfriend as well, I have to
Mm.
say. And that was about 3.5 years ago.
Mm.
Uh, then I kept getting out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think all people are there, but that's why I want to do this podcast because most people find themselves in this giant hole, wherever whoever you are, you will always have something that you will fight against or deal with. And it's I also hear like how this was like a portal for initiation for you. Like what comes up for me is like the Chiron, the wounded healer archetype. That's I'm huge into astrology, and it's so beautiful to hear. Because also, when I've also had that kind of experience when we're so stuck with this identity of like, I'm a fighter, I'm this, I'm that, and the fact of letting that go, being afraid of who am I without the fighting, who am I without, for me, example, I've been working with a family business, um, which I just left this year actually, and I'm living and working on a retreat center here up in Sweden. And for me, that's been a long journey to kind of let go of that and to see things that are not serving us anymore. And how you say, like, you get like small injuries, you get, I think it was in Paul's talking about like the pain doctor in some
Yeah, the
ways
pain
of like, you
doctor.
get small hints from the universe that you should not do this. You should
Yeah.
look somewhere else for something else. But it's not usually not until we hit that fucking brick wall, until we're so sick and tired of being sick and tired that we actually take that leap, because there's no fucking way to go than up, in a sense.
Yeah, it's really crazy, and the ego is so fucking strong. I mean, honestly, even 1 year before my big injury, my big knee injury, and before I really knew and got the message, hey,
Mm,
hey, you kid, grow up and follow your path. What is really your path? Like you're saying, the wounded healer,
mm,
or the healer path, and teacher and all that, and stop wasting your time with fighting. Because I always wanted to change the world in a big way, and I always had in my head this back voice, really in the back of my head, this, yeah, with fighting, you don't really can impact the world in such a big way as you
mm,
want, in the
mm,
way that you want. Of course you can in some ways, but so with all the nagging injuries, it was always a voice in my head, but it really took me, it took an injury where I couldn't train for about 1 year to really go into deep depression to get that initiation, as you're
mm,
beautiful saying, was really an initiation.
mm,
Both the one in the hospital, where I was close to death, and the injury, the depression. I think that's what we have to deal with, or what we have to face as a society, especially the man. And there's lots of talk about the whole masculinity stuff these days, and sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming. But what I think, what the men of our time are most lacking, and also the women, but I'm talking about the man now, is the initiation
mm,
into duality, is what I call
mm,
it. Now, most of us in the Western world, we grow up in a cozy, beautiful home. We have good childhood, more or less. Very little people have really deep pains. And I don't say trauma, they don't have traumas, emotional traumas. Everybody has them. But really, most of us grow up in a very cozy environment. We have it warm, we have food, we have shelter. Most of us have love. So what we lack is we turn 14, 15, and it is our time to become a man or a grown up or a woman. And the women have the thing that um, they get the menstruation. So that's the first initiation. And then if a woman gets a child, she has a big initiation, because it's
mm,
so fucking painful that no
mm.
man could survive that, even the pain alone.
No, yeah.
So thank you, women, for doing that. We are way too weak to do that,
Yes.
for sure. I wouldn't want that. And so now the thing is, we as men, we don't have anything like that. So we grow up and we go to university, but the initiation there may be just drinking as much alcohol as possible,
Mm,
or whatever the people do, or taking drugs. And we don't have the initiation into duality. And what I mean with that is, the world is not all roses. The world is not
mm,
pink and beautiful and flowers only. um, Sorry, bliss bunnies out there, and I'm surely every now and then I trap myself being one of them.
mm,
um, and I think we all do. But the world isn't all roses, and the world has challenges, and the world has pain, and the world is fucked up sometimes, in some ways, and the world is beautiful. The world is
mm,
both. And I think we, as men, or growing up, or for personal development, we need this initiation into the reality of the pain of life.
mm,
And the woman has the birth of a child, and that's the most beautiful symbol, most beautiful example of what life is about: giving birth to something
mm,
painful. And life is painful. And what I teach, and what I share when I have clients with depression, is that to be able to live in this world of duality, where we have challenges, pain, and beauty and bliss, we have both. It's really fucked up to be in there, in this game, in this movie, because it's going up and it's going down. It's taking a lot of energy. But what is it that gives the woman the energy to give birth to a child? It's the love for something, the love
mm,
for the child, the love for the soul. Now, that's where Paul's system is so beautiful, and where I think the one love, where Paul Chek, for example, is talking about always, having a dream, having a legacy, your one love, your path, to know that path,
mm,
is the child that you're willing to go through the dualities and the pains of life for. Without that dream, you're lost. That was me in the time being a fighter, then being injured. I lost
mm,
my dream. I lost my reason to live in duality, to live through challenges. I just thought I just stay on the sofa, on the bed, watch Netflix. I don't want to deal with life. I don't
mm.
want to deal with the duality of following your path, because I didn't even know what it was.
Mm. Beautifully put. I think it's, and also what comes back to when I was attending Grounding Man in New York last summer. Elliot talked about the because a lot of young men at around the age of 24, that's kind of when I discovered him, or like 22, 23. And he talked about the cycles of 12, that is 12, 24, 36, 48, and at those point of time, like coming into the 10th, 11th, 12th year of that cycle is usually when you're giving new to birth to a new cycle, or a new you, or a new version of yourself. And for myself, I can also, like, I really can relate to the pain that you were going through at the early stage of your 20s till like where you are now. The kind of, you've rebirthed yourself. You're in the 25th year, and for of course you're a Scorpio. I've seen your tattoo chest.
Yeah,
It's a nice one. And I think it's important, as you say, that the world of duality, in order for us to, I've been thinking about that myself the past year. In order for us to feel love, we have to come out of love. In order for us to feel bliss, we have to feel pain. And if the saying, like, we are all one love, we are all one being, that in order for us to feel that love, we cannot be like this. We have to be separated time and time again to just feel, to come back to love, and to come back to pain as well, to feel those two dualities. And as you say, men lack initiation for sure, and that, I think that's why I've been having Elliot as a mentor, and seeking adversity consciously, because that for me prepares me when I do face adversity for real. If I do cold baths, if I run marathons, if I exert myself and really push my own limits, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, then when shit really hits the fan, I have some really good tools to use in those situations. Because, as you say, a lot of young men right now are like, a lot of people are very soft with all the nice cozy technology that we have, that you don't even have to walk outside of your home to get food these days. You don't even, and how it becomes like a lot of men these days are too soft, and that's why they fall into like I saw also on your webpage about that, you recommended King Warrior Magician Lover, which is a great book. And also where you have like people getting addicted to porn, like the impotent lover, or the addicted lover, or they get addicted to video games and build a character in a video game rather than building a character of themselves in real life. And that for me is very fascinating, because I was also playing a lot of video games when I was a kid, but luckily I grew out of it. But I see like a lot of men lacking that challenge and that courage to or yeah, that male mentorship for sure, which Elliot and Paul provides.
it's beautiful what you're sharing there, and there are some points I want to get into.
Mm.
The first one is what you said, like it reminded me of the saying "love hurts,"
Mm.
and I think this is very, very true. And I think to if you want to feel love and bliss, and the more you want to go into love, and that's a main goal of most people in the spiritual communities. Not maybe an aware goal or conscious goal, but most people are seeking happiness, bliss,
Mm.
and love really in their
Mm.
life. I believe everybody in the end. And I think it is very important to understand that the more we want to feel on one side of the spectrum, the more we have to open us up to the other side of the spectrum, because
Yes.
you can only open up the spectrum in both ways. It's like a pendulum; it swings
Mm.
in both
Mm.
ways the same way, as far. So the more we are able to open ourselves and wound ourselves and create a womb out of that, and I love Elliot was saying, the
Yeah.
wound as a womb.
Yeah.
Um, and the wound is really a womb. It is a womb of transformation, but it's also a womb for love, a womb to put something in, to get love, to open ourselves. And opening ourselves um, is a beautiful example of really letting things in to feel and to experience them.
Mm.
Now, to be able to withstand the duality, we need to have the understanding, I think, that there is this duality. We can't escape it, because I think most people are trying to, and I did for sure, and I know many who do, and I every now and then I do it, is trying to escape into a world of utopia, into, oh, everything is perfect, and oh, I just meditate 4 hours a day and then everything will be good.
Yeah.
And I think that is trying to run away from the reality of what it means to be a human. The second thing going into that is what you said with the movie character, or the from fantasy games or whatever, you build a character. And that's for me my biggest symbol for what life is. Life is a movie. Life is a game. And we're in this game, we have to live it. And sadly or luckily, however you want to put it, it's the most fucking real game out there. It feels so real, even though it is an illusion, that we may want to consider playing it in a good way or in an intelligent way. So what we have to figure out really with life is, what kind of movie do we want to live? What kind of movie do people want to watch? They love people being shot. They love sex. They love wild stuff. They love stories. And I believe that unconsciously we all want to have these stories. And that's why we create illness. That's why we create relationship drama. And many people do that. And I don't want to say especially women are good in this, but manipulating unconsciously in a normal conversation to create a fight out of the conversation. And many people do that just to create the tension to love again. A relationship with whatever, a relationship with light, with life, without tension, there's nothing in there for us to get out of it. It's like watching a boring movie. What I want to empower people is to consciously, with responsibility, be a co-creator or creator of their own life. Instead of just letting life happen to them unconsciously, letting their programming, whatever they're watching the TV, letting move them through life and create their chaos, consciously creating that chaos. I consciously created the chaos of going into a ring or a cage and fight MMA. It's not beautiful. It's not fun. That's what initiations are in my experience. It's consciously creating the duality, consciously running a marathon. I have never run it, but I can't imagine it's a lot of fun.
It can be,
Sounds
some parts of
horrible.
it can be, but it's what you say, like it's you know, that feeling afterwards. It's I've done 3 marathons this year, and after one of them, after the week following that first marathon I did in February, I had like I have a lot of pain in my body, like from time to time, and especially on my right side. And after that marathon, the first marathon of the year, I felt no pain whatsoever. I felt like that I was walking on clouds the whole week, because also the wherewithal that, you know, that I can, because this was not a official race. This was a friend calling me like 3 days prior to this, like, hey, I have Sunday off. Do you want to run a marathon with me? Because he hadn't done it before. I've done a couple of marathons
Holy
before.
shit.
And so I had 3 days and like zero preparation. And that's what I love about, like what I said before, of putting myself in adverse situation consciously. So I know that I can rely on my body when, and my mental powers as well, when shit does not go my way. But it's easy to take the easy path. It's easy to take the path of least resistance. But yeah, it's I love to talk about this, because you can go so deep with all of this. But Nico, I've also seen you've been very busy the last 2 years with educating yourself. I saw on your webpage. Can you tell us a little bit more what you've been doing? You feel like you've been a busy bee the last couple of years.
Yeah, especially after, like I said, after my injury and after being in that deep depression, there was this fire lighting up in me, this fire to learn more about growth, about depression, because I've been there, about gut healing and about health, because I've been there and nearly died in the hospital, and about injuries. So what happened was, okay, I really had a deep dive into suffering, in a sense. Lots of personal drama there, lots of depression, lots of emotions in these few years. And this deep dive led me to, how can I help people get out of suffering? Because I brought myself out with the teachings. But I understood that for that I need to learn much more. I need to learn all these different things. Now, like I said, the Czech Institute, of course, I did, I think, 6 courses I did with the Czech Institute. There are eight of the big courses, advanced training programs, and I've done 6 of them, which was a big help. I studied lots of Osho for a big long time. I think for 2 years I studied Osho intensively. I studied nearly every book Elliot Holtz was putting out there, which he said was good because I was really into him back then. So like you said, Robert Moore, Jungian analysis, depth psychology, archetypes as a big thing, the big theme. And then for me, really, besides the holistic health and all the stuff that interested me and that I put my heart into, was really spiritual development, because it had this strong pull on me, but I couldn't really grasp what it is. And it changed a lot, and it's still changing, because we tend to make this idea out of spirituality of, okay, there's a God, maybe that's our idea, or what is enlightenment. Alone that idea is crazy what people think about that, being an enlightened being or whatever. And that brought me into a deep dive into meditative practices, Tai Chi, learning all about that, learning lots about the world religions, actually. That was a deep interest. And studying, or the student archetype, was really maybe the most important aspect of my healing, my own healing, to put myself into this situation, to say, okay, I may know a little bit about athletics from being a boxer and a fighter. I know a little bit about training and nutrition, but what can I learn about being human, about what it means to be a human, what this stuff is about, what this mystery of life is about. And I really dive deep into every kind of topic you can dive into. I mean, even quantum physics and stuff like that, even though that is way too complex for me to dive too deep into. But I really love all the different aspects of humanity, of the world, of what this mystery is about, and took a deep dive into that.
And what will you say? Because like, I'm also I would say I'm spiritual, and into a lot of spiritual practices that are looked upon by mainstream society, mainstream people, that is very woo-woo, and it's really it's weird in a way. What will you say to those kind of people, and what has spirituality brought to your life?
First of all, I want to say I come from a point where I, very early as a child, I was against any kind of religion. When people told me that there's a God in heaven, I said, what the fuck, what is he doing? We have war, we have children dying of hunger. How the fuck can there be any kind of God? So I was like that until I was 14, 15. We're really with the mindset, very rational, very scientific, pseudo-scientific, I would say today. I think I knew what I knew, but that's a big problem. Now, I think the main problem when people then start to open themselves up, or maybe want to hear about spirituality, is that we have these ideas about woo-woo, like magic and all that stuff. But it's really not about that, in my opinion. It's about being responsible for your own psyche. So what's going on in your head. But the problem with that is that if we are not able to stand outside of ourselves, outside of our egos, and all that can sound so woo-woo. It's very complex to put these things into language. But if we're not able to look into our thinking, what's going on in our head, just look your mind for a few minutes. All kinds of shit is going on there. I mean, if I would believe I'm all my thoughts, I would be a horrible person, honestly. Yeah. I would be terrible. I don't even want to share that, but I kill people, I do all kinds of stuff. And I believe most people are doing that. I believe anyone, and that's the shadow. So we are not our beliefs, we are not the stuff that is moving through our mind. So how can we gain control over what is moving through our mind? How can we gain control over our emotions, and how all this stuff and our psyche is controlling us in our daily circumstances? And that's where the duality topic comes in. I think everybody, even scientific people, would agree that life is suffering, life is shit. Life is also awesome, life is beautiful, but life is also shit. Everybody would agree to that, I think, most at least. But the thing here is how you react to the shit that is happening, how you feel during that challenge that is coming, that can be very individual. Now, some people break their leg or break both their legs, let's say, very challenging the situation, breaking both your legs. And one person stays calm, is still happy, and yeah, he makes even jokes about it and lets people write on the case, and all that stuff. And another person is completely in depression, completely broken. Now, the same thing here. You have two children. Both children get beaten by their parents or by their father. Now, one children develops completely different than the other. One is getting depression, is maybe taking suicide with 20 or something. And the other one becomes a big MMA fighter and gets his anger out there. So how we relate to the circumstances of our life is very individual. And in my opinion, spiritual development or spirituality is just gaining the control of our movie, of our story, and how we relate to the things that happen to us from the outside. It's about the relationship. How is my relationship with you if you saying a bad word to me?
Yeah.
How is my relationship to my wife if she cheats on me? Do I kill her? Or what do I do? How do I react?
Yeah.
It's really the work on ourselves, and much less, in my experience, my opinion, for these people, the scientific people, it's much less that I would encourage them. Hey, yeah, there are spiritual states out there that you can achieve. There's, you can get visions. And I wouldn't talk to them about that, because that's stuff they can explore once they do the practice. But the important thing for everybody, doesn't matter if you believe in astrology, if you believe in anything, is really you want to gain control over your life. You want to gain control over your mind. You want to be calm and relaxed in whatever situation comes up. Isn't that what we all want? To gain power. In that sense. And it's not the complete whole of spiritual development. It's not all parts. But that's what I think is the most important argument for anybody, believing in the very esoteric side or not. But anybody can believe that we can gain power over our minds, over our ego, and transcend the ego, the thinking monkey mind.
Yeah, it's what I think about is when you talk about this is all about how we channel our energy, basically how we channel our prana or chi or our life force. And that's what spirituality is all about. And I also think about the book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, where also like discusses the fact of people being in concentration camps and people giving up, and why people kept on going even though they were as fucked as there was just a hopeless situation. But some people perished, and some people could still survive those extreme situations. And all about the mindset. And for me personally, I've been feeling this. I've had a tendency to become depressed during when winter comes around, or when autumn comes around, because Sweden is very, like, even more north than Germany on the hemisphere. And it's get dark, and it's I've been really having a hard time with the seasons. And one thing I've realized now that I'm living in a community is that because I've got my social needs met here, then I don't have the same thoughts or go into the same patterns that I do if I would live alone in a one room apartment in a small city, which I did for 5 years. And that's nothing that you can like prove scientifically, maybe in like oh, take this pill and you'll be healthy, or that meditation will now there are good research on meditation. The last couple of years has been coming a lot up there, but it's also like with any kind of science, it's just stuff that before it was scientific based, then it was also just out there in the realm of like, ooh, who knows what an atom is, or who knows what a quark is. And now we know, because we have know it scientifically. But there's just this knowing what nourishes you. You can feel that. You can feel that when you meditate sometimes. Well, you can feel that when you're letting yourself be still, when you're bare feet. And I've seen you've been a great advocate for being bare feet in nature, and I love that too. It's hard now when it's -degrees outside. That's a big challenge for me. So I don't do it now. But for me, having simple practices to come back to, that doesn't even have to just following your breath, like just doing like silent meditation or silent sitting, and just scan, as you say, like, yeah, channeling your thoughts on, being, if you don't bring the unconscious to the conscious, then you will be forever, you will be a slave to your subconscious and the programs that are overriding you. Because how much work you'll ever do, you will have a subconscious that will drive you. So yeah, what's your thoughts
Yeah,
about that?
it's beautiful what you're sharing there, and I want to add to the idea. Would you say, first of all, um, with the retreat center where you are, and the
Mm,
winter and
mm,
the depression that's come, I think it's very, very easy to see and to understand what you are saying there. But like you said, yeah, I have social contact, so now I don't go so much into depression. Everybody could follow that. It's not very
mm,
hard to
mm,
understand the reason for that.
mm,
But like you said, we don't have scientific evidence. We
mm,
don't have, I mean, we could make studies and say, yeah, that amount of statistics, that amount of number of people gets less depression, all that kind of stuff.
mm.
Very hard to explain in a really, in the way of neurotransmitters in your brain and what is happening, all that
Yeah.
stuff. And even if we could, why is that important? And that's
Mm.
always what I ask my clients.
Exactly.
Why the fuck is that important? Do you really need a scientific evidence that you love your partner? Do you want to test your partner? Do you want to make measurements if she loves you or who loves more?
Yeah.
Oh, I love you more. You see, there's 2 grams more of neurotransmitter, blah, blah. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't need that. And in the same way, we are so stuck in our fucking heads.
Mm.
It's insane. We're so stuck in our intellectualism that we can't even feel that a freaking donut is not good for us.
Mm.
I mean, honestly, if a person is not able to feel that he eats, let's say, a donut, and he feels that it's not the best food for the body, and then he eats an apple and he doesn't notice a difference,
Mm.
that's ridiculous. We are animals. We are animal beings. We have the capacity to sense and to feel and to smell and to hear. And we don't use these senses anymore. We just use our head. We try to think about everything.
Mm.
Oh, is this diet good for me?
We use
the ketogenic. Use, what is that?
a phone.
Oh, cell phone. Yes, frick, man.
We rely so much on technology these days, and
That's
and
it.
as you say, we're in our head. We're googling stuff instead of like answering our own questions of how does this feel or what is good for me, and yeah.
Instead of don't worry. Instead of feeling into us, and what I want to share as an example is we have more diet ideas out there than ever, and especially at this time, people are getting health conscious, health interested, and it's now the ketogenic diet is booming, carnivore diet is booming, vegan diet is booming. We have all these movies and all these documentaries which show that the keto diet heals cancer, and the vegan diet heals cancer, and the carnivore heals cancer, but eating meat gives you cancer, and not eating meat gives you cancer. So it's bullshit. It's ridiculous. Every single movie, every documentary I watch, every one of them sounds scientifically based. Every one of them is logical. Every one of them has their science, their studies. So we're in a big problem because we have more studies and more intellectualism out there than ever, but we have more depression, more health issues, more shit going on than ever. And how is that possible? The only way that is possible is that only being in the head and doing all this science doesn't work. If it would work and the science is getting better, we should be getting better as well. But that's the disconnection of head and heart. Now, when we would really connect head and heart, we would say, okay, what is logical? What makes sense? And I can give you an explanation. Why does it make sense for you to meditate? Okay, you think about it with your logical mind, but then the thing to put it into your body is to practice it, to try it out and to feel what happens. I can tell you about the vegan diet and tell you it's very good for detox. It's very good to get all the animal flesh out of your body for a while. Sounds beautiful, but then you try the vegan diet and after day 2, you get headaches, you feel weak and whatever, you feel like shit. Why the fuck would you go on? Who the fuck would do that? It's insane. And then after 2 years, maybe you're so skinny, you lose muscle and whatever, and you still keep on doing it because you have the idea that is good for you. And then you smell steak and your body says, oh, wow, that smells amazing. My body wants that.
Mm.
but you don't eat it. Why not? Because of an idea. Now we need to get out of ideas and really move both together. Use our intellect, use our mind. I mean, we're using it now. We're talking together,
Mm.
using it less or more. But really bringing it together with the experience and not just saying, hey, I feel good, it's nice to meet you, but feeling that. And if I don't feel it, I don't say it. So bringing the idea and our words and our mind together with our
Mm.
feeling state and that which we really experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think the biggest thing, and that's that's lacking, and that's why also I'm so curious about Paul Chek's works, and I've been following him, and I want to do a HLC one in the future. Now I'm just like a bit lazy listening to podcasts, but for anybody interested in more of Paul's work, I just listened to The Honest Vegetarian, which is like one of the best podcasts I've heard in a long time, and also the one he did with Elliot, and also I would recommend also the one with Timothy Chief when you talk about veganism, because I was a vegetarian for 2 years as well. And I know people that I know I have a friend who's been thriving on a vegan diet for like 13 years, and it works for him. But and I also saw the documentary Game Changers like a week ago, and it was a good propaganda movie, like, because Timothy Chief was supposed to be in that movie, but he jumped off the vegan train because his body was failing him. He wasn't feeling good anymore. And that's the thing, like when we get trapped in isms, or like I'm this or that, and we are so attached to this identity that we are this person, and without all these attachments that we have on ourselves, that we trap ourselves in our intellect of like, oh, it's most ethical to be a vegan because I don't um affect the environment or whatever. But it's interesting here, like in Sweden, because if you're a vegan, then probably you eat bananas, you eat probably mangoes, or like you eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. And in Sweden, you can't get a hold of that, so you probably ship bananas from the other side of the world. And how environmental friendly is that, you know?
Yeah.
So
That,
it's
that's
also
that's
like,
a big thing.
huh?
That's such a big thing. Like you were
Yeah,
saying, Tim Chief, yeah, he jumped off because his body was failing him, and he felt that he needs to do that.
yeah,
He
yeah.
felt. He didn't intellectually think about it. He just felt it.
Hmm.
His body felt like shit, so he decided we needs to change something. But
Hmm.
how many are doing? How many people are doing that? Most people are not
Exactly.
listening to that
Hmm.
for years or
Yeah.
forever.
And if you also listen to the story in the podcast, he's also talking about like he did like a water fast to, like, that was the last thing he did, because he was like, oh, I'm gonna just get rid of, like, flush the system. And he didn't eat anything for 35 days just to get rid of the thing he was fighting. And then after that, it was like almost like he was also on the bottom, like he also hit the wall. Then how far can I take this and still be a vegan? And then he was just like started to eat salmon or something, and he had a wet dream. which was which was
Yeah, yeah, I
interesting.
remember that. That was great. Great, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the sexual energy coming up, and that's a big, big, big topic. And I don't want to stay too much on veganism, but that's a big topic in the whole spiritual community. Is really the neglecting the body and being up here all the time. And funny enough, especially the spiritual community is way too fucking much in their head as well.
Mm.
Me included. Me included. I'm in there. We're way too much in our head. I mean, we're up in ideas and we're reading spiritual books and all this stuff and all these beautiful ideas about enlightenment and what will happen and meditation.
Mm.
But in the end, the Zen saying goes, before the enlightenment, you wash your bowl.
Mm.
After the enlightenment, you wash your bowl.
Mm.
So really being present to the reality of life and to the power of now, like Eckhart Tolle is saying, um, that's where really spiritual development, how I learned it, and one system, Ken Wilber explains many different systems, but the chakra system is one system of stages of development. We're
Mm.
developing from the bottom up. Now, the first three chakras are very much concerned with the physical body, with the material plane. Most spiritual practices and most teachers train meditation, they train moral disciplines, um, ideas, belief systems, experiences,
Mm.
fantasies, imaginations, all these things, symbols, but it's all very up here. It's all meditation going up the chakra system, ascending, getting out of your head, upwards. Now the problem is that our society is, especially in the Western culture, is so freaking unhealthy and so disconnected from the body. Most people aren't farmers in the Western society. Most people don't live with nature in the Western society, but we are so disconnected from our first three chakras, from the reality of the first chakra, safety, security, having a tribe, having a body, a physical body, a healthy body, to being grounded in that. The second chakra, or sexual identity. What is it to be a man, a woman? Our sexuality, our sexual impulse, sexual energy. And the third one, which would be our legacy, what we want to do in our life. Now, most people jump into spirituality and all these topics before even laying the groundwork of having a healthy body, which is spiritual development. Most people don't think about spiritual development as eating healthy. I do. What I teach is caring for your body, your physical needs, your animal body needs, is first chakra development, and is what's needed to transcend up to the higher chakras. And that's, in my experience, where most people break the leg, in a sense. They go into spirituality, and then at a certain point, and I know quite a few people who got psychosis through this, and also plant medicines and all that. And they go into psychosis or breakdown or depression because they don't have the base of the lower chakras to give them the support to move into these higher realms and to get deeper understandings, in a sense, and where you can look at the world and really feel you created the womb and the wound to feel the pain of the world, to really look at war and see that and see what's going on, how children are dying of hunger, and to really, you open yourself up with spiritual practice. You're opening yourself up to this pain. But when you're not having a healthy body, not having a healthy hormonal system, not having enough sexual energy to create enough balance in your body, then you don't have the base upon which to hold this duality, this pain of the world. And that's really where most people break, in my experience.
Yeah, I can affirm to you, like as I live at a retreat center, it's a vegan norm, vegetarian norm here. All meals are vegetarian, and so, and I don't cook so much food of my own, and so my diet here is more vegetarian. So, but I sometimes I just have to go and buy me a steak and cook a steak, because I've really there's something about me, like ever since I switched over to eating meat again, this kind of like I feel the sense of nourishment like going through the cells of my body when it feels good for me to eat meat. And for a long time I was like, no, like it's it's wrong to be a vegetarian, or it's wrong to eat meat. It's like, yeah, I'm a worse person, and it's bad karma and whatever. But it's, as I think, as Paul has also said, like it's the biggest animal cruelty is to neglect yourself of your own basic needs. And I can also say that around here, the spiritual community, there's not a lot of people that are lifting or doing marathons like I do. Like one of my favorite things to do, like is to go on a fasted stomach and do a half marathon. Now I've been injured for like 2 months, a little bit. Like my body has been telling me to slow down, and I've been trying to listen to that, but I have a hard time slowing down as well. But like that's one of the best, like feeling so strong in my body, and to like trail running, like for me, running is my medicine. It's also like this, also like each step, you just ground down into my physical body. And as I talked to you before about, that's why I do marathons and stuff like that, because it reminds me of my physical body and the strength that I have inside as well.
Yeah, I think especially running is a good example of another practice which is so natural, so normal in a sense for us human beings, and that is now today used as a healing tool. And what I always try to share when I share my action plans with clients, and I coach them through the steps they need to take, that really what when it comes to health in all aspects, body, mind, soul, in all these aspects, that the 95% of all the trouble we have, maybe even more, is really related to the groundwork not being done. The groundwork of living a healthy human life as the animal body, the human body needs that, and not as the ego, not as the mind and ideas
Mm.
Oh, you just need 6 hours of sleep, but really being honest with yourself of what your body needs. And we can use, of course, the intellectual knowledge we have, the science, to say, okay, look to the past or look into tribal cultures. How do they live? How did we develop in 2 million years or whatever?
Mm.
Um, and when we see that, there are just certain characteristics with which we all had, how we developed, which is movement. And Paul calls that the four doctors.
Mm.
We all had movement in our lives. So movement in some kind, be it running, strength training, gardening, being a farmer, but having movement over the day is the way we develop and the way our body develops. Our digestive system needs movement in order to function correctly. Our breathing, our muscular system, all that needs the pumping of the movement to keep functioning.
Mm.
Now, when you look into a traditional society, how much do they move a day? Fucking, if they sleep 8 hours, they maybe move 16 hours because
Mm-hmm.
even if they are hanging out and chilling, they're not sitting in a chair.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting in a squat sit on the ground. They move much more doing that. Most of the time they were walking, hunting, building some stuff. Now, how much time did they spend in front of a laptop, in front of something to read, very, very heady, and just in the head all the time? Very little. Always practical with the body. How good was the air back then? Or in the jungle, how good is the air compared to Berlin City or wherever you are, or even LA or something like that? And that's such a big part. Now, the other part is quiet. How much quiet do the people get? What was the tempo of living in a tribal culture? What was the tempo of our evolution of the day when you wake up? How does it feel? And the very, very simple example that I give my clients is go out to the forest or go on a hike and stop in the middle of the forest, wherever you are on the mountain, and just try to sense the tempo, the velocity of nature. And you feel the difference. It's silent. It's very slow. It's very calm. It's very meditative. Now, when I share about meditation, the importance of meditation today, people tell me, yeah, but we didn't do that. And I say, shit, we did. We did for 24 hours a day. When you live in nature, you don't need to sit in your whatever, in your chair and meditate, or on your pillow, or on the yoga mat. But what you had was you were surrounded by being in the now. There was no future. It was just a daily hunt and all that. So we've come so far away from the human blueprint, you can say, and what health means, that all the things that we call healing tools, or that is such a healing tool, being barefoot outside, it's not a healing tool. It's just normal. It's what should be normal. It's just the base upon which we build a normal human body, a normal healthy body. But our world has changed so fast that we just can't keep up with that. We don't learn it. We forget what it means to be a human, to eat the right foods, not just eat McDonald's all day, to feel what our body wants, to feel, okay, now I want meat, now I want to be vegan for a while, to feel that.
Yeah.
Every animal, when it's when it is getting lost in nature, as a baby, and the mother was killed, whatever, it knows what to eat, which plants it can eat. It doesn't need teaching that intellectual. There's not somebody saying, hey, you can eat that berry is toxic, that will not. There's many examples of studies where horses actually started to eat certain herbs to heal their cancer and stuff like that. There's no intellectualism in that.
No.
But how did that work? Body intelligence. When we were wandering through the fields and the countries, and we entered into new areas, we didn't knew the plants. Now, do the people think everybody died in the tribe because they just ate anything and looked, try and error? Oh, that person died. He ate spaghetti squash, whatever. Don't eat that plant. There's no sense in that. We have the body feeling, the communications of our body, and we need to learn to access them.
Yeah, the smarter the phones, the dumber the people.
Yeah, like that.
And talking about running as well. I just listened to Born to Run on Audible, and it's so fascinating to hear the evolution of the running shoe and how Nike just fucked people up with just like adding padding because, oh, our feet are not made to pull our weight, or, and it's so fascinating how, yeah, as you said, like the intellectualization of things just ruin, like it's can be it just ruins a lot of things that should be so simple, and we make it so complicated. And I think that's the pitfall of having civilization with a lot of people, that we are so specialized in a way that we have few people know how to live according to nature's law, and we have a lot of people knowing like exactly how an app works, or how to make this microphone. They have like a really specialized. It's also like you have a hand doctor, you have a head doctor or a cancer doctor, and you don't see that everything is just interlinked, and we just need to bring it all together, and not dissect everything, because everything is connected in some way or another.
And that's really spiritual bypassing in the way I use the word, is bypassing when we go from body to the mind, intellect, to the soul, to more intuitive knowledge. Now, our society mostly is right in the middle, in the intellect. It's not in the body and not in the intuitive soul. And it's, in my opinion, spiritual bypassing by just foregoing the body and saying, no, the body is not important. We are now intelligent beings. We are humans. We're not an animal anymore. We are very intelligent. But doing that, we even forget how to freaking care for our body. And we don't even know how to fucking run. That's the point. Vibram 5 fingers are such beautiful shoes.
Yeah.
Do you know them, the barefoot shoes?
Yeah, I have a pair of my
Yeah.
I've actually tried to condition myself the last couple of like months to run more bare feet, and
it's awesome.
Yeah.
You have to go slow, but start slow and add more and more.
Yeah.
But it's really awesome. And what I find fascinating is when you go out with these shoes, or at least me, many people say, oh wow, you got funny shoes or whatever, and it's hard for them to see the functionality of the shoe, of why you would do that. And most people really think the padding under the foot is something that helps us. Now, when you think that our species, even if you just say 2 million, it's more than, I think it's 2.4 million, whatever. Our species developed for millions of years barefoot, not with Nike shoes, just barefoot and running. And we did run, and we probably run more than today. We walked more than today. Now, how the fuck is it possible that a Nike shoe could be good for our body, that our body is adapted to the system? Now, what happens when you put a thick sole under your foot is that you actually create two grounds for your nervous system to react to. You create the ground of the sole, which your body has to feel into the moment you touch the ground. But then you're touching another ground, which could be earth, or in the forest, or whatever, leaves or roots. And your nervous system, your body, your brain is not capable of monitoring both of these grounds fast enough to actually give the response muscular to create stability in your body. It takes too long to understand these two grounds, and it needs to go very, very fast. So even if we say, yeah, from one intellectual standpoint, it makes sense to have soft cushions under the feet. Even in that realm, from the intellectual side, from the scientific side, when you move deeper into that, even then it's wrong. So we're in a funny rat race where we have all this information out there. Yeah, you can Google anything and get 50,000 different opinions on it. What is the best diet? What is the best running shoe? And we really can't have a safe bet anymore. There's really no safe bet for us. And the main purpose of what I want to teach people is to how to find out what is right for you. Because it's only subjective. There's only subjective truth. There's no objective truth in this plane, in this earth. Whatever food is good or bad for you, which ratios, that's all subjective. There are some trends. You can say, yeah, the trend is organic food is much more healthy than unorganic food. It's a trend. But there are no rational objective truths out there. So how can we find out what is right for us? And that's a big practice. And that's where feeling again comes in, being able to feel ourselves.
Yeah, and it's so when you how you lay it out also, I just get the image in my head, like 2.4 million years of evolution, and then we have Nike shoes for 40 years. What do you
Yeah,
think, is best for
it's crazy.
for us? Yeah. And also what you say there as well, with this kind of like looking outside for answers, I think that's the biggest disconnect, that realizing the divinity within, and that all answers are found within. That's like why all spiritual practices is just like go within, and that we kind of like dissect ourselves from that, and rely and become followers. Like we are in an age of followers and influencers, and instead of following your own heart and gut feeling, you follow other people's ideas of how they live their lives, and maybe that is the best way to live their lives. But if the best thing you'll ever be, if you're trying to be someone who you are following, is that you're just going to be a bad rip-off copy. And to find yeah, your own essence in a way, and to find, everybody cannot be a Nico Becker or an Elliot Hulse or a Paul Check, but you can be you. It
Yeah,
might sound
that's
cheesy, but like
yeah.
it's that's the way it is.
No, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, if I imagine everybody was like me, holy shit, that would be fucking annoying. I can get fucking annoying. You'll understand that when we hang out. I give you a
I hope
promo.
to see you in the physical world someday, Nico. It'll be
Yeah, we
nice.
will for sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, what you're saying there is again an example of how important our dream, our legacy, our
Mm,
knowledge of what our life should be about is. Because with all these different choices we have today, now remember, we didn't have these choices 50 years ago, 100 years ago.
mm,
100 years ago, you grew up in a society where it was pretty much fixed what you become.
mhm,
Yeah, you maybe had 3 or 4 career choices, but it was quite fixed,
mm,
You didn't have a lot of choices to do in your life. The programming was really strong. You had one programming. You didn't have an Instagram where you can see a Robin Hallsten from Sweden sharing his love and his story
mhm,
and inspiring you to change your life. You only
mhm,
had your society, your tribe. Not many people were traveling. Traveling was much harder. So the choices of what is right and wrong just exploded, um, especially with social media.
mm.
Showing your tits on social media is right, is wrong. For some people it's right, for some it's wrong. For me it's right, it's good. But no, honestly, the choices are just intense and amazing. The programming is so different. We can choose what we want to become.
Mm,
Now then it's even more important to be clear on what your story should look like. What is your legacy? What do we want people to say about you when you die?
mm,
What is that? Do you want to say, yeah, he tried to save the environment, he did lots of whatever is your story, he tried to help people, to coach people, he was the best musician, whatever it is, what your dream is. But this dream is the only thing that can really help you to find your subjective truth and to find the tools or the programming in a set and the beliefs that
mm,
help you in your life.
mm,
Now, for example, if you want to become a strongman, it could be very, very helpful to not go vegan.
mm,
Now, I don't say there are not strongmen that are vegan, but it could be very helpful to not go vegan and to eat meat and to follow certain rules and beliefs which are in the community of strongmen, to train in certain ways. If you want to be a strongman, maybe you should do deadlifts. And yeah, that's all rules and beliefs. But just because deadlifts and eating meat is good for that person that wants to become a strongman, or maybe good, it
mm,
doesn't necessarily is good for the yoga teacher who wants to ascend into the higher realms and have a year of deep spiritual work, where
mm,
we would say, okay, maybe for that year you don't eat meat, maybe for that year you don't lift heavy because you want to get
mm,
lighter,
mm,
your body want to get lighter, and you stretch more. So the whole idea of what is healthy for that person, what is good for that person,
mm,
two completely different lives.
mhm,
What we are trying to do in society is to say one of them, one of all these 1,000 ways to live is the
mm,
best way.
mhm,
That's the healthy way. That's the way I write a book about. and sell it as the ketogenic diet or that diet or this trend or this protocol. And that doesn't work. That's not how I work, and that's why I love Paul and what he teaches. That's not how Paul works. What really is the idea of development is the individualism. What you say, nobody's like me, nobody's like you, nobody's like Paul. We don't even have to be. But really, this decision making of what do I want to be, who do I want to become, and what are the tools that I can use to create that for me. Now, if you have whatever your goal, you want to gain weight, okay, there are certain diet rules, certain sleep rules. If you have a certain illness, if you have depression, there are certain rules. There are many, many conditions for different things. But to decide which conditions or which programming is the right one for us as a conscious choice instead of just programming unconscious, we can only do that when we have a certain goal, a certain clarity of this should be my life, instead of being pushed around by other people's opinions.
Exactly. Well said. Yeah, it's that's what I that's for me a true teacher is I love how Paul puts it, like, don't believe a word I say, try it out for yourself and see if it works, because there's so many I think even in the spiritual world where you have people that like promises you that you'll, if you follow me, you get enlightenment, and I've seen this summer when I've been here that there's shady people in the spiritual business that are not there to help people, but just to boost their own egos. And it can be a very dangerous place to be if you have traumas and get caught up in something like that, where someone might act like they are coming from a beneficial place, but are coming from a more maleficent way. Is that the right term? To really, to always be to always be, how to say, always be cautious with the information you're taking in, and always to have a filter and not swallow everything just because the guy you're following is saying this, like, oh, Red Bulls are good for you or whatever, because he's sponsored by Red Bull, you know?
Yeah, I actually have I think a few weeks ago I posted a YouTube video which was called Anal Sex Sells. And in the video, it's a trap video. Sorry, I I did that, but it's a trap.
You have my attention now.
Yeah, that's it. Because it was really a trap to catch people just to click on the video. And in the video, I talk about how consciously we are making our choices. Yeah. Now, especially in social media, especially clicking on things, especially with videos, YouTube, all these things, but also in our lives, choosing food and whatever. Why are we doing the things we're doing it? Are they really dream affirmative? Is why are we clicking? That was, I think, an 8-minute or 9-minute video. Now, why did you click on that? Was it dream affirmative? Was it giving you pleasure? And just to inquire, no judgment there. I would have clicked on it probably.
Probably me too.
Yeah, it had the most clicks within, I think, 2 days or something of all my videos. So quite funny. Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. Why are we doing stuff? And that's the most spiritual question I think we can ask ourselves when we really want to develop. Why are we taking certain choices? Now, what you're saying, I think, is very important, with having many different opinions to look at. And that's where I think where traveling helped me most. I've been quite around, I would say, especially the last 3 years. I've lived in Switzerland. I've lived in a van all through Europe. And just to see, then in Bali, Asian country, in Thailand, and just to see the different mentalities and the different programmings there are. Once you do that, and even following a guy like Paul Chek or whoever, Elliot Halls, and the moment you just follow one person, you follow his dogma, his story, you really lose touch with the reality of the multitude and the creativity of the earth. And all the people that are there, and all the different possibilities of what life can be like, what it means to be human, what a person needs to heal, and all these different things. And I think really opening ourselves, and that's where the internet was a big consciousness boost for all of humanity, because we suddenly had access to all these different ideas, and to be open to look into another religion. Okay, maybe we're Buddhist, but why not just read Hinduism, and maybe we start to understand Buddhism better after that? That's what happened to me a lot, especially with the spiritual stuff. When I started with spirituality, I started with Osho. I was reading lots of Osho, and you start to get a certain picture, a certain understanding about enlightenment and what spirituality is. And then, for example, you start reading Rumi, a Sufi poet, and you start reading poetry, and very different. And then you start reading a Zen master like Suzuki Roshi, very different. Often paradoxes. Often they say things that the one says is not true. So you start to get open to say, okay, this person seems to be enlightened, this person seems to be enlightened, and both say different things. What's the truth now? And you start to realize that there is no objective truth beyond a certain thing, which I don't want to get into, which would be pure consciousness, but it would be only words, and there's not a lot of sense of talking about that. Yeah. But the 0 point field, you could say, okay, God, that's the one truth, but all the rest is subjective truths. And finding our subjective truth is only possible when we have enough options to do that and are open and willing to look into all these different options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's I lost my train of thought, but yeah, it's very interesting. It's also interesting every time I'm doing a podcast, like to witness like the idea I have, and then it just like takes you to another conversation, and I fucking love this conversation right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think I love it too, and I love this topic, and
yeah,
I think the main thing we're trying to do here is to just point out that it may not be true what we think, and to really point that out to especially when we talk about spirituality or even health. That I would love to get into that after this, after I share what I mean. Is we can all have all these ideas, but really when we talk about enlightenment, I just want to share about that, is being fully present with the now is not an idea. Enlightenment, the experience of pure consciousness, of just being here, of experiencing what is already always ever present. Experiencing that is an experience, like getting a blowjob or having sex, whatever. It's an experience. If and Paul makes this example as well, and I love it, and I steal it. When your best friend, let's say you're 14, 15, your best friend had the first time sex, you haven't yet, and he's telling you, yeah, whoa, she did whatever, she shaked on me and whatever she did, and yeah, and it felt this way, felt that way. Would that really help you to understand what sex means? It wouldn't. It really wouldn't. It would be just freaking words. But then when you have your first time sex, it would be completely different.
Yeah.
So all these ideas, all these books we are reading, all the spiritual stuff, even talking about it, the only reason we should do that, in my opinion, is to motivate us and to push us into this experience, into the now. So whenever I read spiritual literature, I try to use it as a vessel to bring me in the moment while I'm with the book, and to really see my mind going on, my monkey mind, and objectify it and say, okay, wow, this is all going on there, and they don't say it, they just look at it. But to use that. But whenever we trap ourselves by reading the Bhagavad Gita and all the yogi texts and all that, and we have all this knowledge, and we know exactly what heaven is where, and the astral planets and all that, that can really become a blockage for our experience. The same way with sex, you can know 100 different positions to bang a wife, but it
you
won't
can watch
help
a lot of porn.
You can watch a lot of porn, and that is a perfect example. Thank you for giving that. A perfect example of intellectualizing sex is porn, and that's what porn is doing. When you watch porn, you get in your head, you get in your vision. It's visual. And when you go into bed with your wife, then you watch too much porn. It can happen that you cannot have real sex anymore because you're so much in the visual experience of sex that you lost connection to what sex is really about, the bodily, physically and energetic experience of it. So thanks for that example. Remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's also like if you're ever gonna try to ex- explain how a psychedelic experience on mushrooms or plant medicine with ayahuasca for someone who hasn't done it, you simply can't. You
You
simply can't
freaking
describe
can.
that
No,
feeling.
no,
And
certainly can.
so it's you can mental masturbate how much you want about stuff, but it's also like, as you say, like as a book about weights won't make you buff. Like you have to pick up the weight and carry
Yeah.
the burden yourself in order to grow.
And plant medicine is a beautiful example, what you
Mm,
just gave, of an opportunity to break through the ideas.
mm,
Because you're gonna if you take enough, you're gonna get fisted if
mm,
you're up in your head in
yeah,
ideas. And
yeah.
I was fisted. You really get washed through hard because all this idea bullshit suddenly disappears or gets destroyed.
Mm,
You're right there with an experience that nobody can explain to you,
mm-hmm,
or could have ever explained to you. And it really can blow your mind and bring you back um, into the reality of intellectual knowledge is maybe not everything.
mm-hmm,
Maybe there is more, and that's a beautiful example of something you cannot explain.
mm-hmm,
Health. What I forgot to get into before, what I want to share is the example of health with that is that we have certain conditions what we talked about and certain ideas of what is healthy. Now, when you go around in the city, whatever, and you ask people what is healthy, they say eating vegetables, working out,
mm-hmm,
what I don't know, going to the sauna, ice baths, breath work, sleeping early, and stuff like that. You have certain ideas and rules. Now, today I see a lot, especially when clients come to me, I see a lot that um, people have these ideas and they think that if they do all these ideas, all these practices, that they will be healthy.
mm,
So you have like a dogmatic view of what health means with all the conditions for health, and you get stuck even in that. Because yeah, there's the reality, we are an animal. We need to have oxygen to live. We need to
mm,
have certain foods. We need to have movement. We talked about that before. Yeah, we have these conditions of the human blueprint. But at the same time, it's much more than that. It's only the groundwork. Because at the same time, we are a soul or we are an ego. We have an experience here as a body. And one of the right when we started the call, you asked what do I have there? I had a bag of tobacco.
mm-hmm.
Now, many of my clients, especially my first calls, they don't expect me to smoke tobacco or vaporize tobacco.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most profound teachings that I got was to understand that health is not a scale from 1 to 10, where 10 is you do all the conditions right and you're perfectly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really more a scale or a pendulum where you say, okay, I need to be in balance here. I
Mm-hmm.
need to balance out what I need for my legacy, for my life to be happy. Because happiness is really the happiness is what sits on your health in a sense.
Mm,
If your health is a stool, um, or a chair, health is what sits on top. And when you don't happiness is what sits on top. And when you don't have happiness, you have nothing to build a chair for in a sense.
mm,
Now, what that means is if smoking tobacco makes you happy, if I have a client and he smokes cigarettes and he loves it, or cigars, the worst thing, in my opinion, as a coach you can do is say, oh, you need to stop smoking, you can get
mm,
cancer.
mm,
That's the biggest bullshit ever. Shamans and tribal cultures all over the world smoke 50 cigarettes a day and are fucking healthy.
yeah.
How's that possible? Now it's the balance. It's knowing what you want to create in your life and knowing what you want to do with your body and being aware enough that, okay, if smoking is a stressor, but it gives me joy, but I eat good as well and I do all the other stuff, maybe I'm more healthy off than most people.
Mm,
And really finding the balance of what it means to be you. Dancing on the weekends for a whole night is not a healthy thing to do. Dancing at night in a club, maybe on a pill or whatever people do, it's not healthy. Absolutely not physically seen. But from mental, emotional, or spiritual standpoint,
mm-hmm.
it's fucking healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's healthy in the way that you experience less depression when you are in the retreat center with people.
Yeah.
It's socializing. It has an effect on your physical body, but you can't really explain why.
Mm.
That's the same way with smoking. That's the same way with going to the cinema late at night, late night dancing, um, whatever you want to do, lots of stuff, even having a donut every now and then. And it's all in a certain range of conditions, but it's flexible. It really moves, and it's flexible within your state of happiness and what you want from life.
Yeah, and in the age of also health conscious people, like going to the gym and getting ripped, and a lot of people is just doing it for pure aesthetics, and maybe like their body is decaying from the inside because they're not like have the right hormonal system or whatever, or you know they feel shit mentally because they're trying to project this image of being fit, and maybe compensating for stuff inside of them that they don't want to view to other people. And is that healthy? No, it's not, even though you might look healthy. Like, and if you see like Mr. Olympia or all the bodybuilding competitions, when they look as most fit is probably when they are the most miserable, because they are so you know, they're so ripped down and haven't maybe drinking water for a day or two or something, you know. It's and it might look good, in the photos when you're oiled up, but if you're not truly happy, as you say, like if you're not truly content with what you're doing, if where does that feeling come from that you have to go and work out and have a six-pack? Does it come from an abundant mindset, or does it come from a scarcity mindset because, oh, I need to have a six-pack because otherwise I don't get girls, or that kind of thinking?
Yeah, one of the pictures or symbols I try to give my clients with this is, you can imagine a donkey, and there's two ways to let a donkey move forward. One is to have a carrot in front of him, and one is to have a knife or a gun behind him, just as a picture, symbolic. Now, most people in their lives are running from something, and you can do anything in both ways. You can be an MMA fighter, having a knife behind you and moving in this direction and being pressured, and the knife behind you is your childhood trauma and your anger and your pain that you want to get self-worth out of being a professional fighter. That's what drives most. Certainly has driven me. Now then you have the second kind of motivation, which is from the front. It's a dream that is pulling you. It's a vision that is pulling you. It's the carrot in front of you, which your heart is pulling forward, but it's not fear that is driving you. It's not fear that is letting you wake up in the morning and stand up. It's not fear that makes you study. It's not fear that that makes you do these things. And that was the biggest revelation for me after my depression, to not having to motivate myself with pain or anything to study so much. I studied many hours. I still do study many hours of my day. It's a big part of my day, but there's no real motivation in that. I don't need motivation for that. It's like taking a shower or whatever. Some people need motivation for that, but in that sense, it's really something in front of me. It's something I enjoy and that is pulling me. It's like when I put a donut in front of you, you want to eat it. There's no question, should I eat it? Do I have enough pain to eat it? Am I self-worthy enough to eat it? There's no sense in that. You just do it. That's really the way we want to create for our life. We want to create something where we say we do it because it feels right, because it's pulling us, but not because something in the background is pushing us. Some fear, some wish to get self-worth, to get acknowledgement. We all do that. I mean, just look at our Instagram, look at my Instagram, look at everybody's Instagram. Beautiful pictures, the good pictures, the smiling, cool texts and all that. Yeah. And that's true. That's one big, beautiful side, and it's inspiring and it's cool. And we should do that. But at the same time, there's this need to get acknowledgement. I mean, if you don't get any like for your picture, anybody will be able to feel certain emotions about it. And then you get more likes and you feel emotions. And everybody who's honest would say that's true to him. And it depends on the path. You shouldn't cry or go ecstatic because of it, but there's a certain emotion in everything we do. But we should look how much space do we give this emotion, this need to feel worthy, this need to feel love from the outside? How much do we really want that to drive our path and to figure out what we do to drive our choices? I think very little. Um, I think you should train, work out to be healthy, to feel happy, and to follow your dream, but not to feel strong and good just because you felt shitty as a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because then you'll always be running. You'll always be, but pain and fear is the one of the best motivators to get you on your feet and going. And might be good in the beginning, but I think a lot of people, that when people reach a certain level of fame or fortune, they realize that that's not just it. Like, even though you reach a milestone in your life, and because you've been running from yourself, you try that this will make me better, or this will make people like me, this will make me get this or that, but you never reach that sense of peace within yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Like, if you're not feeling at ease with yourself in the moment, then why the fuck are you doing what you're doing if you don't feel good about what you're doing? Even though you can accomplish a lot of great things through having the pain or the fear motivating you, but if you're not truly enjoying that journey, then you might just not even enjoy the destination you're headed.
Yeah, and like you're saying, the pain teacher is an amazing teacher. The pain can motivate us and really teach us a lot. And I think it's the most important teacher today. For many people, illness, disease, depression, injuries, our environmental problems, all these are beautiful pain teachers that we can learn from. But again, the way we learn from something, and that's what I meant with the pain teacher of a father that beats his two children, which are both boys, let's say, but both develop completely differently. So again, the way we react to the pain teacher, what we learn actually, and what is the way we change, is very much what is responsible for that is really the way we look at ourselves. Okay, let's say you grow up to be very thinny and you want to have muscle and nobody likes you because of that. Very, very thinny. Maybe you had anorexia and had even problems with that. And then on a certain day, you say, okay, this is the pain teacher. People don't like me for the way I am, for my body, for being ugly, whatever, having depression. What do I do with it? I can either way say, okay, what can I do to give myself the self-love and self-worth, to feel worthy myself and to not need the others? Or you say, okay, what would others expect me to do so that they could love me? It's these two ways. Now, you could say, okay, I dress like these people want, I eat like these people want, I behave like these people want. So I cure the pain teacher, the pain goes away. It doesn't really go away, it's just hiding somewhere.
Yeah.
But you try to cure the pain teacher by doing what others expect from you. So that is running. You're having a knife behind you and you're running. You're running, you're just doing anything to get away from that pain. Or you consciously put a carrot in front of you and say, okay, what I really want is self-worth and self-love. What can I do? What do I like? What are the clothes I like? And how can I free myself to express myself this way? How can I free my emotions? Stuff like grounding camp. What are the action steps I could use to free myself from all this negative shit? Now you have two completely different outcomes with the same pain teacher. One person that is really developing himself, finding out who he is and how he can make himself happy. And one person who is just running after what people want from him.
Yeah, exactly. And it ties back to what we said about in the beginning of men's lack for initiation, that they just become stagnant and fat or soft, and without having that carrot or that kind of a male mentorship or initiation, or having that goal or purpose or something to channel our sexual creative energy life force into, then it become very distorted, and that's why I think we have a lot of problem with toxic masculinity and stuff like that in today's day and age. Yeah, I'm also interested, Nico, in the thing you are actually doing as well. Like you're having like retreats, and I see you have a retreat coming up in 2020. Can you tell me
Yes.
us a little bit about what you are doing at those kind of retreats,
Oh,
and what can
okay.
someone expect from coming to your retreats?
Okay, thanks for the question. Now, first of all, what I do mainly is I coach people via Skype from all over the world, so not
Mm,
bound to one place, and I have regular coaching sessions. What I started doing then about 1.5 years ago is I started when I was in Europe. I started to have private client retreats. So I have one
mm,
client who books me for a few days, mostly 3 or 4 days, and I spend 3 or 4 days completely with him.
mm,
Now, through this experience, I found, wow, this is powerful to not just share an hour talking or going through stuff or giving action steps, supplements, whatever, but to really be with this person for a whole day, to have a spiritual practice with them, to really have a day flow, to cook
mm,
with them, and have all these experiences. And I found this to be so powerful that I found a new passion to say, okay, let's do group retreats.
mm.
Now, what we do is my wife and I, um, she has her specialties, especially stuff like cooking classes, teaching healthy nutrition,
Mhm,
practically, um, sound healing, certain spiritual practices that we do. And what we want to create in these days, and it's 6 days, what we want to create is a day flow where you wake up and you have a certain morning routine, and we present different kinds of morning routines, different kinds
ah,
of things you can do. And that's what we talked about, to give the opportunity to have many opinions,
mm,
many different techniques, and to really have an exploration into morning practices, spiritual practices,
mm,
experiences like ice bathing, campfires in the evening and rituals, shamanic journeys, um, deep mental emotional coaching work. I'm going to coach every person, of course, alone. Nutrition courses to learn about nutrition and what diet really means.
mm,
Sound healing, movement. I'm going to teach movement, the fundamentals of movement, of the primal patterns of how to move, um, different kinds of movement you can use, stuff like rock stacking, stuff like easy movement routines where you have movement flows, yoga, qigong. Um, and then for me, the biggest part and what I want to give people with my retreats is what I call legacy manifestation work.
mm,
It's that the week always will have a theme, or the retreat where the main purpose is to either gain the clarity for what your legacy is, to make it even more clear, or to manifest it wherever you are on these steps, and to help with that. And a lot of painting is in there, a lot of personal development work with journaling,
mm,
um, and lots of free time, lots of fun, lots of campfires, barbecues, and having what we have here, just
mhm,
sitting in a tribe and in a small community, like 6 to 9 people, whatever, sit together and talk and see what comes up, and everybody
mm,
shares openly. And the space and the whole circle will be very vulnerable, very open, and is very it's very beautiful to share in such a circle, because we like that. That's one
mm,
of the things we like most, is having the feeling of a tribe. And
mm,
that's where grounding camp, where my retreats and retreat centers and retreats in a whole can give that feeling. It can give us back the most fundamental, the most powerful healing we have. And that is the feeling of the safety of a tribe, which is the first chakra topic. Tribe, our safety. And that's what we lost. Our society is no tribe anymore.
mm,
And that's what I want to give back with my retreats and also with my coaching, um, is to help people to create a tribe, to get back a tribe, to get into the feeling of what it is to be a tribe.
mhm,
You're a beautiful example of that. We don't really know each other. I mean, now
mhm.
from talking, probably better than most people know me. Um, but in that sense, because you are also tribal oriented, is what I feel
Yeah.
in that sense. You're very open. We can just talk. There's not this distance that is
Mhm,
between most people. And that's what I want to create. And that's what happens in retreats, and people open up, and you see people crying in front of each other. That's not the normal day.
yeah.
It's very beautiful, very profound healing and transformation.
Yeah, that's what's needed, to be taken out of your everyday routine and to be open up in ways that you didn't thought you had yourself, like that you had these stored emotions upside in you. And we see this time and time again here at the retreat center that I'm living at, is that creating the safe space for people to come in and to kind of how to say, isolate, and to, you know, create a small groups of type people, and to be put in a container with a lot of other people that where you consciously come there to work on yourself. Then you open up a lot of channels that you previously weren't aware of or conscious of even, and stuff can surface.
That's the beauty of having a good coach or a good mentor, and that's why I tell everybody I meet, really get yourself a mentor, get yourself a coach,
Mm-hmm.
trainer, whatever, but someone that you trust and that you love, that you are able to love, feel
Mm-hmm.
love for. And why I think this is important is, in my opinion, the trainer or the coach should be someone, if he's a good coach, that loves you no matter how you are, no matter what you are, no matter who you are. That's what I want to give people. I want to give in my coaching, that's what I think coaching is best for. I want to give people the opportunity to create themselves completely new in front of me, to be with me, and I don't know them, so we just meet here and we can be whoever we want to be, and I give you all the space and all the love to give you only the feedback that will really help you to become more of who you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now what happens is, in society, is this: you try out a new pair of shoes, or you try out new trousers, maybe pink ones, and people react strangely to it. They say, oh, negative stuff mostly. That's the most criticism, is negative. Now what happens is, you unconsciously start to form yourself according to other people's wishes. A good coach not only facilitates growth and transformation and helps with growth and transformation, in my opinion, but gives the space to have the transformation, to give it its natural flow. To really, if I have a client, and in, let's say, a client, man, he was the total Casanova and he had hundreds of women, and he comes to me, and then within the coaching sessions it's coming out, hey, he's actually gay.
Mm-hmm.
If I am open enough, and that's what a coach should be, and loving enough, and not judging, unjudging enough, or however you say that, it would be no problem for him to share that and express that in front of me, and to train that, and to actually learn how to be himself in a safe space, in the safe coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Me as a coach, I'm there then to guide him to step into society with all that he's learned in this safe space, and to go out there without being touched by judgment, or maybe being intelligent about certain things.
Yeah.
Which I'm more for the not being touched and less being intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
More free, but that's where everybody has to find his own balance, and that's where I coach people, of course, to find that balance of how can I express myself safely, feel loved by myself and others, by being myself with pink trousers and whatever you like.
Yeah, exactly. I think as a coach, I've also done like a life coaching course, and my biggest realization there was like, I thought, oh, I got all these answers to give, but like as a coach is more to not give any answers at all, just to give feedback on what a client is saying, and trying to, because you can put like the right answer in someone's mouth and they won't accept it until they connect the dots themselves, you know, and to make that conscious flip switch inside their own minds first, because you can tell somebody that has a poor diet or whatever, or if somebody told you when you were fighting, like, you should, like, hey, you got an injury here, you should pay attention to that. You weren't maybe mature enough to stop yourself, and you have to go through the pain yourself. And we can't simply change people. We can only help them, like facilitate the way for them to change themselves.
Very true. Very
Yeah.
true, man.
And Nico, like, it's it's been almost 2 hours, man.
Yeah, crazy. It went by so fast.
The time has flown by, and I
Beautiful.
actually yeah, I want to talk more, but I also need to wrap this up. Actually,
Yeah.
any final words, and how can people get in touch with you to maybe
Yeah.
attend your retreat or get Skype coaching?
Yes. So my website is www.prana-alchemy.com. Um, on YouTube, you find me on Holistic Minds. It's
Mhm.
called my channel. Prana.alchemy is my Instagram, and Prana Alchemy you also find by Facebook and Nico Becker Facebook. I think it's all very easy to find.
Mhm.
Whatever you find, be it Instagram or Facebook, there's always a link tree for all the other stuff.
Mhm.
If you find me on YouTube, there's my website and there's a link tree and all that stuff. So it's very easy to find me. Was lots of fun, man, to share this with you. I share this interview on my YouTube, and I hope we do it a second time.
Yeah, me too. It feels
Second
like we
conversation.
we have a lot more to cover.
Oh yes, yes. There's a lot
Yeah,
more to go into.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, any final words for somebody who's listening out there?
Yeah, honestly, I remember Houston Smith when he died. One of his last words was, "Be kinder, be kinder to another." And my last words would be, be kinder and feel more for others and yourself, and get more into your feeling and be more aware of your emotions. If you're feeling fucked up today, you don't need to hustle.
Mm,
Uh, don't always try to tell yourself you or you have to do certain things.
mhm,
Try to get into touch with your feeling. Some days you might feel like shit and you have all these ideas of what you wrote down yesterday on your to-do list,
mhm,
but feel into it. Life is short. We can die any moment, and that's one of the most important things to keep in mind. When
mm.
you're dying, no money in the world can help you. No nothing in the world. No business. No YouTube star. Being a YouTube star, nothing will help you. So really live a life that is happy and fulfilled and feeling
Yeah.
all the good and shit and all the beauty and bliss.
Yes. Yeah. Get yourself some slack sometime, but not too much. Find a
Yes,
balance.
man. Yes, man.
Yeah, thank you, Nico. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you guys that have been tuning into this also has enjoyed this. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye bye.